Why did you?
Why are you?
I'm broke.
Lots of
mighty.
Why are you?
The angry
Men's.
I'm not so.
You
KOTOR.
You knew.
They tripped.
It's clear.
Don't
really.
This is a review of what appears to be one of the best RPGs I've ever played. You know, I have Fallout 3, and there's a whole lot of hype for that game, and it seems like a lot of people like it, some people don't. It's not as perfect as it should have been, or as it could have been. But I think Fallout 3 is good, but there's another game that I started playing recently that I'm enjoying a fair bit more. And the thing is, it's an older game. It's been around for a while. But here's the cool thing. The game came out, and it wasn't made by like a big, well-known company. So it sold okay, but not as good as it should have. And then the company that made it, because it's a small company, it's kind of like their baby or whatnot. So they had a good relationship with their customers, and they were seeing how people liked it. And then about a year after the game came out, they went back and they like remade the game. They added in new animations, facial expressions, new battle animations, and they like revamped the inventory system to make it more easy to use. So the game is called The Witcher, and it was made in Germany by and it seems like some of the best strategic and role-playing games come out of Germany. And in its first iteration, is that the right word? When it first came out, there were some translation problems, and there was a few minor bugs and this and that. But even with those problems, it was still like an instant classic, and people loved it, and people were going crazy over it and whatnot. And then the company, you know, like a year and a half later, they go back and they remake the game. They make the graphics better, and they do this and they do that, and they fix up the translation problems and stuff. And yeah, the game has I'm just really impressed with it. It's not as it's still pretty free world. It's not a linear path, but the story is somewhat more linear, and I actually appreciate that. I think games like Fallout 3 and Morrowind and stuff, they're a bit too free. They're a bit too open, you know. When you get too open like that, the story ends up lacking. You know, great, you can go anywhere you want at any time, but that, you know, it's kind of like that can be boring. It's just like, okay, I can just wander any direction I want, and I can do any. I like there to be a bit more of a story, for the game to be a bit more of a movie, if you will. And this game just has that in spades. It's just the story is really interesting, and the game is rated R. It has nudity, it has sex, it has drugs. It's got a lot of swearing in it, and some of which is hilarious.
Why do the locals persecute non-humans?
Why the pricks going? That's the natural order of things.
Yeah, the combat system is interesting. You know, like when you get into a fight, it's mostly automatic, but it's hard to explain. It's mostly automatic, but you have to click at it. You do a combination of blows, and a chain, they call it, I think. And to make you have to use your experience points to make the chain longer and to make the chain stronger and to upgrade your battle attacks. But in general, they're kind of automatic, but you need to time each part of the chain. So like for the first part of the chain, it might be like 2 or 3 blows, and at the end of which your sword will kind of glow orange for a second. You got to click at that time, and then you'll continue on to a new set of attacks. And then at the end of that set, your sword will glow orange. And it's kind of good. I like it better because, and if you were just clicking at certain times, that could be kind of boring. But you need to, in most fights, I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty, and in general, when I get into a fight, I have to use magic. 2 dogs. Look at this kid go. He's fast, man. when I get into fights, in general, I like have to use magic or I die. Because I'm playing on the hard skill level, so even like enemies that don't seem to be that threatening sometimes get the best of me. And sometimes I don't even realize it. I'm just like, I'm fighting, oh, I'm dead. And I love that about the game. I've probably died about, I'm not very far into the game. I've only played it for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and I probably died about 5 or 6 times. And that makes me happy. I think if you're playing a game, any game, like, you should die at least, well, at least once per hour, and at most, I don't know, 6 times an hour? Somewhere between 1 to 6 times an hour. That's what you should be dying. Because if you're not, it's just kind of, it's boring, right? It's like too easy. And this game seems to have me somewhere around the once per hour range. Maybe, yeah. And it's cool. It's cool going into